Welcome to
Generational Experience.
There you go.
Here we are with our team members, Carl Condello, Pierre Oz Rogers, and me, Bill Robinson, as we bring you the generational experience. From the beginning of time, from creation of the universe to everything in it. And as to earth and the creation of humanity, God has created the special men representing every generation in the hopes that all shall listen with an open heart and mind, by allowing what is said and done by these highly intelligent individuals to take us on this journey of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding with music as our foundation. I introduce you all to the generational experience. Tonight, we have one of our key members, the guy who brought break dancing from the New York area down to the North Jersey area and subsequently spread throughout the country. Pierre Oz Rogers. Say hey, Pierre.
How you doing? How you doing? Carl, how you doing, Carl?
I'm doing excellent. What I'm doing, I'm just making sure we are live and we are streaming live on all the platforms, which we are, which is
I'm
nice.
feeling live myself, man.
So how's the weather there?
Hot. Hot.
It's about 1 million degrees out there.
I'm glad I only had the one dealership. I was out of there at noon because it was just starting to get broiled right now. Oh, it went down. I'm sorry. It went down to 97 from 100. But tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday is supposed to be 104 and 106. But thank God I'm inside. A little air on the fans. It's fine.
Mercy.
Hey, you guys, how's the humidity back east?
Not too bad, man.
Not bad.
It's feeling a lot better than it did the last couple of days.
Oh, wow.
But this morning, earlier today, it was a cooker out there.
No.
You know what I mean? You could walk down the street and smell bacon sizzling and sausage cooking, man, because, oh boy, if you didn't have your sunscreen, you were in for it. I bet it's the same out there. Well, the last time we saw our audience and the last time our audience saw us, we were talking about where we came from, you know, what made us, what brought us to be the guys we are today. And tonight, we're going to continue on that journey by talking to our team member, Pierre Oz Rogers. How did you get started with this, Pierre?
I'm going to go to the beginning. For everybody that was watching the first few podcasts, when we came down from New York, after I was watching the Rocksteady crew perform, I've always wanted to be a part of that group, but they would never let me in. So once I learned everything in the Bronx, I came to Jersey and I started breakdancing on the street, and some people see me and they wanted me to teach them. I started teaching them, and then the next thing you know, we put together a group, and one day we got discovered by this older white man, came up to us and said, "Oh wow, I like what you guys are doing. I would like for you to come on the show." So imagine kids and a grown man talking about they want to come see him. So he gave us our card. So I went and took the card to my sister's house. And I told my sister, I said, "Hey, this guy gave me a card and everything." And she went and checked it out, found out the guy was legitimate. So I contacted him and he said, "I'm going to send a card." Now you got to imagine being 13, 14 years old and a big stretch limo comes pulling up and he takes us to Philadelphia, 69th Avenue, and we're on the show and everything. And that was the discovery of Dancing on Air. And we performed there, and it was great. but that was just the Philadelphia area. So later on that week, I ran into a few guys from Cherry Hill and Palmyra. They were talking about this place called the California East. So we went there, and that's when I met Dale. We started performing there, and he invited us to come perform on the show. And this is my interaction, but not interaction, with Carl Candello.
What was the name of the show, Rodney? I'm sorry, Pierre.
It's cool. It's cool.
California East Dance Party.
The California East Dance Party.
And what was your role in that, Carl?
I was the executive producer. Give you the backstory on it. The year previous, myself and the DJ from the old Coliseum, Doug Garland, both had conversations, and we both had the idea of doing a dance show out of a nightclub. And we put our heads together, put some money together, and we did my pilot called Entertainment Plus out of the Coliseum in Voorhees on May 1st, 1983, which is up on my YouTube page. But Dale, I was doing some photography for him on his Friday nights for when he had some guests on, and we had a business relationship on that end. And then also he needed some extra help on a Friday night. But then once he came and saw the production I did there, he knew he had the same idea to do the show out of his teen club, which is 100 times bigger than what we did at the Coliseum.
So that's when you guys started what Rodney ended up being the star
we
of?
put our heads together. We knew this was going to be a bigger operation. That was only a pilot. It actually didn't really air anywhere. We just had it on a local cable channel like 2 nights. But this one was actually going to be, 7-Up was the sponsorship. We had the radio station WPST. They were doing promotions for their radio station.
Let me ask you this, Carl. Cut to where Rodney shows into this.
Once we get the show on, which was April 8th, 1984, that was Sunday, I had other co-producers and whatever bringing on Rodney's team, which I did not meet, and also Jade Starley with Pretty Poison. So I was overseeing everything, and I never met that whole troop because, like I said in the previous podcast, there were other little business dealings that were going on behind the scenes, and I had to put some flyers out while we were doing the production. So luckily, I had a great team to put this thing together. The only thing really they forgot to do was put the banner up, but I could handle that. So
I heard that became the floorboards.
Exactly. So in hindsight, almost 40 years later, with his phone call, wondering if any of this was ever out there, and here I am asking, hey, can someone, something happen with all this? And here we are a couple months later. So, meeting him when I came to your house 2 months ago in Maple Shade, and we gave that great greeting, it's like, as they say, better late than never. So, and, it's ironic how things do come full circle, and they have come full circle.
Yeah. You just never know.
No.
So Pierre,
yeah,
pick it up from where you hit the dance floor over there at the California East, man, or where your story carries us next.
After I put together the group, and went to the California East after Dale, signed us up to come. We performed there, and he kept inviting us to perform there. And we would travel, performing all over the place. We signed a contract, and we were under contract. And everything was good. But then later in time, people started getting in my group's ear, telling them they should start their own group, and a whole bunch of jealousy came in. Then we were getting ripped off by our management, and we lost a lot of money. I would find out later in life. But when it came to a head with the group, being a kid, that devastated me. Because I love these guys. They were my brothers. And because of that, you know, I couldn't recover for that. So we went off separate ways, started performing. So I became a one-man destruction crew. Every group that was out there, I performed. I didn't care. I challenged them, and I was doing it out of anger. But that eventually played its part with me. So I ended up signing up in the military. And while in the military, you know, I ended up going to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I was at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, basic training, AIT. Signed up for my first tour was to Germany. And while we were in Germany,
We're in Germany.
Kitzken, Germany, or Kitzken. I was at Harvey Lawrence Barracks. I was a 13 Bravo field artillery cannon crewman. And while over there, Gaddafi bombed the military base where the Marines were, killing 200-something Marines. We were put on high alert. And that was my first introduction to the potential of war.
Can I stop you for a second there, Pierre?
Sure thing. Sure thing.
I think we should mention to our audience that things are about to get a little detailed, so be prepared. Did I give a proper warning, Oz?
Yeah. What you think, Carl?
Go with it.
Okay, well, while overseas, a few years after that, I lost a friend in Korea. He was drinking some drink, got drunk, and he was my roommate at the time. He ended up falling off the bridge and broke his neck, you know, and that was the first time of somebody that I was close with I've lost. After that, I went back to the States. I went to Fort Dix, New Jersey. I became a lane instructor working as a drill sergeant. And next thing I know, we were being sent back overseas. So I go back overseas, and this is the time when terrorist attacks was happening. The first time they attacked the World Trade Center they tried to bomb it from the bottom, causing a major crater and everything, putting us on high alert.
Do you remember that, Carl?
That was February. I was actually in Disney World. That was February of '93. That one happened. So I was actually in Disney World when we saw everything on, you know, the news and everything. So I remember where I was there, and obviously in 2001 where the other one happened.
Well, and actually, we're jumping it because when the terrorist attack happened, everybody went to Operation Desert Shield in Saudi. I lost a couple of friends there. They were driving, hit a roadside bomb, killing them all. They were close friends.
As they say, all gave some gave all.
And going people were trying to leave, and they went on this highway, and it's a real long stretch of highway. People can look it up on or Google it. They call it the Highway of Death. Saddam started killing all the people on the highway, women, children, babies, you know, and we had a funeral detail where we had to get bodies and stuff.
That must have been tough.
Yeah, it was very tough.
Rodney, if I can ask you one question,
Yes.
I've been very fortunate. I did not serve, and I'm proud of your service. I've heard some other people say that obviously with all the documentaries and pictures and videos,
Yeah.
but there was one commentator that became a talk show host in Philadelphia, but he said, the one thing when you see the pictures, and I'm sure you've seen this, is the smell of war. And I'm sure, I don't want you to need to get graphic, but I think you know what I mean. That you're
Yes.
not, the regular day. Am I correct with that?
You're very correct. You know, those are sights and smells that's embedded in your soul. I could never shower that feeling off. I could never forget it, no matter what I try to do in my life. But from that, you know, going to Afghanistan and all these places, war-torn areas, you know, people see a lot of stuff. And when you was growing up, when we were growing up as children, you know, we were men taught not to cry. You can't show your feelings or emotions. My dad was in the military. My uncles were in the military. They were all men's men. And I had to hold my emotions in. And I've seen all this. By the time I get back stateside, I'm thinking everything's great. So I'm just going on about something. Then one day I was watching TV, a commercial came on, a guy was coming home, his child ran into his arms, and I just started crying. I couldn't stop. I mean, it was like tears just falling down my. Then the first interactions with the family, I went to Washington, D.C., to my aunt's house. And she's a church evangelist, got a big church in D.C. So I'm at her house, but the whole time she's looking at me. And she said, "Baby, can I talk to you for a minute?" She pulls me to the side and said, "There's something wrong with you. There's something off." And when my aunt talks like that, she's scared. And I'm like, I'm okay. I just feel the way that I feel. I don't try to be around everybody. But what I didn't realize, that people were strangers and becoming even more stranger to me. I didn't want to be around people no more. Lights started bothering me, sounds and noises, firecrackers. I lose it. Being in crowds, and it got so bad where I would go into my apartment or my home and just cut out all the lights and just sit in the dark because I felt comfortable. And it was and I was terrified to deal with people. I was terrified of everything, and it started overwhelming me. It started coming to me in waves. Until it was one day, my sister, we call her Booby. My sister and her husband, his name is James. They came to me kind of like an intervention and convinced me to go seek help. They took me to a hospital. First, they took me to a regular civilian hospital. They found out he's military. They put me in a military hospital. And then they talked to me for a minute. They talked to me. Then it was discovered that I suffered from PTSD. And by the time that happened, I was in so much of a dark place, I could hurt somebody or possibly hurt myself. Because watching my best friend die in front of me, somehow I put it in the back burner of my mind. But it took a couple of things to trigger it. And I had to seek constant medical attention. You know, I never did drugs or drank in my life, but for a time they had put me on lithium. I was on lithium, and they had to constantly check your blood levels with that. I had to constantly go see counseling and everything. One of the hardest things in the world for me to do was to admit that I had a mental issue. And it still bothers me. But I know I'm growing and I'm sharing this with everybody out there. There's nothing wrong with wanting to seek help. There is nothing wrong with saying, I have a problem. So for me, it took a while because I was in so much of a dark place that I didn't think I would recover from it. I didn't think I would overcome it. You know, but with family, love, and prayers, and the strength to overcome it, I ended up going back and meeting you guys, putting this podcast together, and sharing all this with you. So I'm sure you guys have questions that I'm willing to answer.
Well, I know for sure that this is one of the things that a lot of people are not aware of. I know for sure that it's frequently glossed over in what we view as reporting and the media, because most people don't want to have this, have the reality of it. And that's one of the reasons that we three have agreed to pursue advocacy of veterans of all military branches. We are making connections with people who have the resources necessary to connect people with those organizations and benefits programs that will allow them to seek help, find recovery, and make themselves whole again. Many of us, you see it all the time, people have served and we go, like Pierre said, we say, thank you for your service. And that is honorable enough. But a lot of times people need a little more personal appreciation than we recognize and are able to give. Am I right?
Well, my thing is this. It's good to say thank you for your service and everything. It's real fine for that. But what about hugging that person? What about letting that person know that you really care? That person signed a contract knowing that this person is willing to give their lives. Not to be coming home and be forgotten, have one Veterans Day. I don't find that good. Oh, 10% off for the virus at the store, 20% off sale for Veterans Day. What kind of crap is that? In time, I will become a veteran. And I would like respect and dignity, not have to be trained in paperwork in order to get some medical benefits or trying to get a house.
Even a place to live, yep.
Yes, there's so many veterans homeless out there in the streets because they don't know all the stuff they have to get. And the bureaucracy about it is just flooding people with paperwork and they're drowning in it.
That's why we're going to work to bring people from those places of confusion, of lack, into contact with people that can help them repair themselves and repair their situations, reconnect them with their families. Is that something you think that's worthwhile to do, man?
Well, I hope that there's no echo in what I'm saying. People are posting stuff. If it sounds like an echo, please forgive us.
Really?
Well, that's what I heard. I'm reading something. People are sending comments.
It is a little bit of an echo here. Not as bad as
Okay.
the other one, but it's a little bit. It's a slight one.
Thank you, brother Kevin English, for pointing that out. But if you can still hear me, thank you very much.
Oh,
So, what do you say, Carl?
Well, I just have to use this term. I know Phil Collins 30 years ago had a song called Another Day in Paradise. And people who have not served, and that's the one thing about Americans and people in the daily lives, they don't realize this sacrifice that you've given and the repercussions of being in part of that. And yeah, okay, they say thank you for his service, but like, yeah, you do need a hug. And I hate to say this, but the government brings them in and pushes them out, and you're expendable. And one thing, Rod, I'm glad, Pierre, sorry,
It's okay.
that I'm an era now. My draft number was for Vietnam was 165, and when I turned 18, they were only taken up to 50. So I was not part of the Vietnam War. But we all know what those veterans came back to, because obviously that was a very unpopular war. So not only did they have to deal with the mental and physical repercussions from Vietnam, but then just not having the public even accept them back then. And not them saying war is hell. War, no matter what war you're in, is no good. So the thing is, yes, it's I'm realizing through YouTube, they have people that are watching old movies and things, and I always like to watch the ones that are watching the first 20 minutes of Private Ryan, and they see how it was recreated, the battle on on D-Day on Omaha Beach, and people were just almost, and I hate to use the term, clueless. Oh my God. It's like, really? Now, I had uncles. Now, my dad was just a little bit younger. He was too young for World War II and a little bit for Korea. But I had uncles that served in World War II. My Uncle John, who served in the first battle of the Pacific, a Marine in Guadalcanal, had malaria and all that, how he survived at Camp. My mother's brother, my Uncle Vince, you met my cousin Vince. His
Yes.
father was in a battle of the Bulge. That generation did not really want to talk about anything until the end. And about a year or two before he passed, I found, because I was a big historian for the war and whatever, and he finally admitted a little bit that when it got cold, because of the frostbite he had, because how cold it was that time. And my father's brother, my Uncle Pat, was in the Fifth Army going through Italy, and he would talk about it a little bit. And the one thing he did say, he was going into Milan 3 days after they see Mussolini was still hanging. But today's generation, they have it too good.
Well,
They know there's just going to be food there. There's going to be shelter. Oh, it's hot. Oh, put the air on. But they don't realize, especially in the Middle East. What was the coldest temperature there? 90?
oh, well, at night it was freezing.
At night, but okay. But, you didn't have the warmth. If you were out there, tell them just the physical conditions you had to deal with.
As I share everything with everybody, as I share everything with everybody, one of the main things that's going on is that, you know, the suicide rate is very high. And when I said to everybody that I was in a dark place, I wanted to die in my life. I wanted to die in a combat. I guess it was called survivor's remorse. There were a lot of things that I have to deal with, and I had to deal with. You know, I used to have cold sweats waking up at night. I used to have all those things. And once I went and started talking it out, seeking help and getting help, and realizing you're still a man when you go ask for help. You're not weak. You're not anything to the negative. So while I was there, I started reading more about mental illness. And somebody said to me, somebody was like, hey, you reading so much. Why don't you look at that program that they got, the CPS program? I said, what is that? They said Certified Peer Support Specialist. So I went for that program and I got certified. I became a certified peer support specialist. I became a CPS. Now I talk to other people about mental health issues and let people know what I went through, and sharing that with those people to help those people, because people help people. These are crazy times now. I'm watching in real time that so many of our brothers and sisters out there who serve this country, they're homeless. And when I say homeless, I mean really homeless. And, you know, I talked to a woman named Kathleen Van Stein, and she does the Veterans Center called Spectra out there in, where's that, Bill? Blackwood. In Blackwood, New Jersey. And I talked to her, and she is passionate about these veterans. She walked away from a major nursing job to just be a volunteer. And me and her talked, it seemed like forever. And I'm listening to her and telling the stories about what all these veterans are going through. And she said something to me, just like it was said to me a long time ago, but she said something to me. She said, one day you're going to be a veteran. And then I had a nightmare. I'm like, what the heck? I don't want that to happen, because what would I do without the military? I felt. What would I become? They give these people millions of dollars worth of military equipment to fight and do everything that it needs to be done. But yet you wouldn't give them a $13, $15 job to work at a Walmart. You wouldn't serve anybody and help anybody. The government hasn't helped nobody. And if they did help them, then there wouldn't be no homeless veterans out there. It's atrocious. Society is atrocious to our veterans, to the people who serve this country. And it hurts me to my core, because we're speaking truth here. And I know we only got a certain amount of people listening to us, but I guarantee you, when we're done with this podcast, when we're done at this moment, people are going to know what we're talking about. Because
Rodney, we're never going to be done, because you're preaching. And I think this message is all of a sudden now we go to up to 7 people actually watching this live. And I think within a couple of weeks, when you start talking about this, you're going to see these numbers grow. And I think your passion about saying this is really resonating with people.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Well,
and I think it's with this spiritual thing, how, you know, Daryl's helping us out technically, but it just so happened that he's connected to the veterans, that one troop that he's introduced you to. So you're going to see that's just that little sap, that little seed that just started, and how that's going to grow on its own. And I think, like they say, you could do it. And I'm doing a podcast with just them, from out of that location, and so
that's on the upcoming podcast.
Correct.
We're going to be dealing with those topics, but I believe Bill had a question for me. I'm trying to remember because he was saying something. You have a question for me, Bill?
I could be blanking right now, Rod. The one thing I was thinking to say was that
yes,
we need to take seriously the problems that are being suffered by those people who protect that thing that we're always going around the world talking so lovingly about, the American way of life. Everybody wants to talk about the value of it and how beautiful it is. And I can't deny that compared to many places, it is the best thing going. But we have to appreciate those people who make this possible. This doesn't just happen. It happens by way of efforts of people who protect us from those people who want to change what we have or take what we have. And this is not, some cultural attack. This is the facts as it has been from the beginning of history up until now. Everyone that believes that they love their country should love their countrymen who protect them, and thereby make sure that those people who supposedly, see to the needs of these gentlemen do their job and do it well.
Well, I got a friend. Her name is Trina Grace, and she's originally from Port Arthur, Texas. I met her at Fort Lee, Virginia, and we became friends. She got out of the military and got into nursing and becoming a CNA and helping people. She came across a guy that was paralyzed, and he was a veteran, and he was in this retreat center, and it wasn't the best retreat center, and he was getting under subpar treatment, bed sores, everything, feces, and he wasn't being properly taken care of. So she went in there, started cleaning him up, and started talking to him, and she found out he was a veteran, and she was asking him, why are you here? He said he was in the Veterans Hospital, but eventually ran out of funding, so they put him in there, and 2 weeks later, the man died. It's sad as hell. And now I talked to my friend Trina because she had got out of the military, and she's still been trying to get her benefits. 15 years later, after she got out of the military, she's still trying to get her benefits. And now that woman has cancer. My friend who served his country has cancer in Beaumont, Texas. We're here to give our view. We're all here to give our view. But I can speak to it from a military point. I can speak to it from my friends and people that I know, people that I watch and observe. They don't help veterans. They don't. In New Jersey, I'll tell you what, in New Jersey, they help veterans a little bit more. In Texas, they don't care. Because there's veterans literally dying out there. There's veterans.
Rodney, you should see it out here in California. Rodney, that's your reality. That's reality every day.
How is it in California? How is it in California? Tell the people.
It's horrible. It's horrible. We know LA is pretty much a what hole.
A cesspool.
And of course, and most all your big cities are because they all congregate. And even around this area, and it's a tragedy that it's a throwaway society. Yes, we get, we go to McDonald's, we eat, and we throw the wrapper away, we throw the drink container away, but we throw people away. They're useful, okay, fine, and like you're saying, she didn't get her benefits. Why? I'm not political. I'm not going to run for political. But the first thing I would say, anyone who served in the military and has a domestic job, you don't have to pay income tax. You've already paid your dues.
Exactly.
No income tax for any veteran when you have private life. Why? Oh, I'm Rodney. I'm sure you have a part-time job. You have a job. They still take income tax out of your check?
Yes, they always do.
They shouldn't. Anybody who comes back from any area, you have a civilian job, no income tax.
I work for a company called Lannex, and they embrace me as a military person. Those people at Lannex, they support me.
Well, look,
but it's so hard to make ends meet, and the cost of living is going up, but even as the cost of living is going up, my brothers, my military brothers are suffering out there, and there's nobody doing nothing for them. I understand what you're saying and the political policies behind it, but for me, I could care less, because my thing is this. Just like you said, if you serve this country, why not give that person a home? Why not make sure that person don't have to pay no taxes? Give that man and woman a home. They have children and families. They're living in cars. They're living in paper boxes. They're living under bridges. Give them a home. Give them free medical care.
Give them the dignity they deserve.
Exactly. Treat those people like people, not like, oh, thank you for your service. Oh, here you go. Here's your honorable discharge, and you go about the world, and guess what? You're still in the streets. You don't have nothing.
Well, maybe in a future podcast, why do we have war in the first place that you even have to go and do that? Yes, if we need to be defending our country, to true, but actually, why do we have 300 bases around the country? That's probably for another future podcast.
And thousands of more around the world. Sure enough.
Exactly. And then what Eisenhower did, because they couldn't touch him after the fact, when he was one of the greatest generals in all time who masterminded the whole thing of the D-Day. But when he finished his presidency in his closing speech, he warned about the military-industrial
complex.
You know
That's
what I'm
right.
talking about, Bill.
We have a person. We have a person called Carlton R. Rowe from the Veterans Center just texted me and saying, "Spot on. Keep the fight."
Yeah, look at that. I'm seeing it too. You see how we're going to end up growing at each specific podcast as we go, because it's the old saying. One person says something to another, and then they'll say that to a 4, and then 6, and it'll just grow.
And so on and so on and so on. Yeah,
Rodney, everybody knows you're for real, my friend, because you're letting your emotion. And I think this is, I hate to use this term, but this is like therapy for you. This is an advocate for you to be out there and be as passionate with you out there, because yes, we are pretty much, I'm here in California, you guys are back east, but you have a local area but it's going to grow. And they're going to say, and so, I see within a couple of months, you're going to be going to different veterans locations, throughout Jersey and maybe throughout the country. And that'll be, so I think it's a great start in that regard. And I think subsequent podcasts after this will go even more into detail and maybe bring someone along with you.
And people can see that you know what you're talking about. They can feel your passion because you have experienced this. Many of us have witnessed it, but not from your point of view. We need to know better what's going on with the people who have served us with everything they have, and we're giving them what amounts to scraps.
Well, my always thought was like with a politician to say, that they're, go to war, go to war. Well, give them the gun, put them on a Higgins boat, let them be the first ones on the first wave of an invasion, and see what they think then. Instead of sending the young boys.
Well, why don't we send the leadership to go fight the other leader?
Listen, it's cool. It's really cool for people in Congress to send us off to war, but they won't send Jenny or Johnny out there. They won't send their kids out there.
That's it, Jenny or Johnny Jr. They won't send them out there.
Of course. But it's cool. It's cool that we go. It's cool that we serve. Oh, I hear this all the time. Well, you guys chose to sign up for it, so you guys expected to deal with what you deal with. Okay, so be it. I say this to you all out there. All you guys is and people and everybody, you naysayers, you guys spat on the people at Vietnam that came home from the Vietnam War. Y'all called them baby killers. Y'all disparage these people, and these people are still mistreated to this day. You guys are saying, they signed up for it. That's them. I ain't going to war. This, that, and another. But yet you want to be in the inner cities, busting guns, shooting people. Instead of doing the right thing, you choose to do the wrong thing. Don't say that you against what we do, or they got what they deserve. They did this, they did that. No. Respect what they did, honor what they did, and say to yourself, wow, I couldn't do that. You couldn't do that. Nobody chooses to do that unless you really want to do it. So for me, talking to everybody out there.
Rod, I always use a term that we all have our bad days, no matter what it is.
True.
But people, as my age right now, but I kind of put it in perspective. That obviously I told you I'm a big World War II buff and a big about D-Day. A real bad day would be on one of those first waves of the Higgins boats going to Normandy. That's a bad day. Any other day compared to that, you don't have a bad day. Yeah, whatever. That's not a bad day. That's a bad day. I'm sure when you're in the Middle East, Afghanistan, everywhere you serve in the hot spots, every second was a bad moment. So I'm sure you, with your passion, and we're going to need many, many more of these to really get this out to the masses and other stories.
I'm trying to fight back tears right now. So
let them go. You don't fight. Don't fight them back. Let them flow, because people realize how true you are.
Forgive me, guys, out there, especially to the people at the Bonefish Grill. They sent the shout out to all of us.
I saw that.
The Bonefish Grill. I want to say thank you guys for serving us food and everything. We enjoyed it.
Is that where you had dinner? Is that where you had dinner?
Yeah.
Yes, we had dinner at the Bonefish Grill.
Nice.
And to the manager, to Chris, the manager.
Hey, Chris, thanks for the food. And we'll see you soon. Yes. I try to, divert that because, I'm getting emotional, and thank you for, guys encouraging me to speak my truth. It hurts me when I see veterans, like I got some friends right now. I see them at still on the base, or even at civilian job, a female friend that I know. She got back problems, knee problems, and she suffers from COPD, I believe, and she's in constant pain. She goes to the VA and needs a chiropractor. They tell her she's at 10% coverage, because it's impossible to get 100%. You got to be on death's bed before they give you 100% medical benefits. So she suffers, And the thing is like she's constantly saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. So I directed her to speak to a few people so that she can get the proper help. See, the thing is that some people say, what's the best way to hide knowledge is put it in a book. And when you got people who can't read that book or don't understand that book, guess what? It's just a book. So nobody can really understand it because you through the bureaucracy, you give them so many papers to fill out that they get so flustered, they get frustrated. Why am I filling out tons of paperwork and I serve this country? It should be automatic. Automatic. It should be automatic for all veterans. Automatic. But the thing is, you want to bury them in paperwork till they're so frustrated and so flustered. Okay. Oh, I signed this paper. No, you forgot to check this mark. Go to this line. You go to this line. Oh, I got to do this. No, you got to go back to this line. I watched it in real time, and for me, I'd rather get slapped in the face than kicked up my ass. And forgive my language, but this is what's going on. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. So many people are hurting and suffering. I see people saying, oh, well, let's give money to this poor dog. Oh, the ASPA. Oh, here's the money for the dog. And a homeless person walk up, hey, ma'am, you spare some change? Get away from me, you bum. I don't understand the policy behind that. Yes, dogs or people love their dogs and everything. But guess what? Human beings are dying. It's summer out there, 100 degrees, 108 degrees. And you'll save a dog before you save a human being? Tell me, people, what you think about what I'm saying. Think about that. Oh, you love your dog. Oh, I love my dog. Oh, what about the veteran? What about that man that served this country? Oh, he served the country. No, he fought for you. He fought for your rights. That's why we fight.
Take it personal, because it is.
That's why we fight. We fight not just for us, for protecting the civil liberties of the United States. And we should be compensated for it. We should be treated fairly, with dignity, honor, and respect.
America is not perfect. We all know that, but it's still the best. That's why people still come here. There's nothing else better around the world. They still come here.
And that's due almost entirely to our military. No question about it. What we built has to be protected. And who's doing the protecting? The very people that Rod is talking about.
I said to my guys here, I said to Carl, I said to Bill, that we're not going to be a podcast where we're using profanities and glitz and glamour, acting like the Desperate Housewives or gossip podcast, or the girls with the booty and the breasts. We're saying that we're not coming that way. But God damn it, ladies and gentlemen, please think about those people that's out in them streets. You can go home every day and enjoy your meal, yummy, go to bed, and this, that, and other. Those veterans are out there with no meals and wondering what's going to happen next day. Men and women. Men and women. And young people. And you young people. I've seen plenty of videos with you young people urinating on them, throwing stuff at them. And these people serve these countries. Hey, without these people, you'd be speaking Russian. You'd be speaking German. You wouldn't have no rights. You wouldn't have no rights without these men and women fighting for this country. Had we not won World War II, we'd be speaking German right now.
Or Japanese.
Or Japanese. What about thinking about these people? Help these people, ladies and gentlemen. Help these veterans. When you see a veteran, don't walk by him like he's nothing. Show him a respect. Shake his hand. If you don't want to shake his hand, get him something to eat. Buy him a burger.
Give him a ride.
Help him. Because eventually, I'm going to be that person.
No, you won't. Not the support you have, and you're going to be getting continuous support. You're not going to be that. You're going to be an advocate, but you're going to be. You're starting to be an advocate with our help and everybody else's help.
And I really thank all you guys. I really do. I thank everybody that's commenting. I thank it in real time. I thank my brother Bill. I thank my brother Carl. I thank all the people that's there trying to support us and represent us. I say from the mayor of Easton Township, I say thank you. I say thank you to the police department out there because you guys are on here commenting as well. I thank all of you for continuing your support with us. And here's the thing that I want to end with from my part.
Yeah, 2 more minutes and we'll go to the 58-minute mark, okay?
I love you guys, but we got to do better. We got to do better. Humanity is at a crossroads in life, not just with our veterans, with so many things that's happening. We're going to get on those topics later, but there's so many things happening. So many laws are being passed. So many people are changing who they are and want to be. So many people says, I'm no longer comfortable with this person. I want to be somebody else. We're going to get on those topics. We're going to get on all those topics from banking to all the gun violence that's going on, senseless killings. We're going to get on every single topic. And don't forget the Republicans and Democrats. We're going to speak to you too. We're going to let you talk. We're going to let you say your piece, and we're going to speak ours. But one thing I'm going to say to you all, let's all do better with one another. Let's love each other. I'm not saying group hug and all this, that, and another. You can still love each other by helping each other. Pray for one another.
Rod, did you see the comment that just came up?
No.
Run for office.
Oh my God! Somebody said run for office.
There you go. One of the things that you're calling for that people don't seem to be able to do these days is real, loving cooperation. We have to see that everybody has certain things that no matter who you are or where you came from, those things, they are things that we have to deal with. The things that we're talking about with the veterans, you guys have these lives because those guys gave more. And we have not, at the very least, paid them the respect they deserve for the sacrifices they made. You hear it all the time. People talking about they have to make a sacrifice for this, they have to make a sacrifice for that, and they expect to be rewarded. Well, put your money where your mouth is. That's the long and short of this. Put your money where your mouth is. Express the appreciation in ways that are tangible. Do the things necessary to bring these people back in one piece, whether that means spiritually, mentally, or physically. Bring them back. They paid so that you didn't have to.
Well,
Summarize for the last minute, Pierre.
Okay, thank you. I just got special shout outs for all the people from the Veterans Center who we spoke to no more than an hour ago. We were at the Vet Center speaking to them, and Kathleen Van Stein and all the members of her organization. It's a nonprofit organization. Shout outs to Bonefish. What's that? The Bonefish Restaurant?
Bonefish Grill.
Bonefish Grill. I would like to thank you guys for feeding us and everything. But most of all, I want to thank all the companies and people that support us. I want to thank my team here, Carl Condello, Bill Robinson, and everybody calls me, once again, Pierre. Everybody knows me as Oz of the New City Breakers. And no, I'm not running for Congress. And even if I run for Congress and become a congressman, I'm going to want money because I still would have to eat. Thank you very much for the comment. I still would have to eat. I couldn't run for Congress and not take money.
You started small. You
I will starve.
You go to councilman first, and then you go up.
Well,
we're going to have a lot to talk about in the next couple ones, and this is a great one that we didn't talk about music, we didn't talk about entertainment, we talked about reality with Pierre's life, and just fascinating. But I'm sure we have more to come. Anything else, but
lots more to come.
Okay.
Well, I have to say I appreciate everyone who signed on. And I have to say, I appreciated the fact that Pierre was able to bring out the truth. And I'm hopeful that the people listening are able to handle the truth. Because a lot of them, like they said in that movie, can't handle the truth.
But see, the one thing, I apologize, guys. The one thing about truth, the truth is fair. The truth is honest. The truth is brutal. But at the end of the day, it's still the truth.
And
it hurts. And it hurts.
Cuts like a knife.
Yes. On that note, guys, are we out?
Well, I think we reached that point. What do you think, Pierre?
Well, one thing I'm gonna say, I love you guys.
We love you back, man.
Out there, Carl, out there in California, you know, please stay cool, stay hydrated. And don't be in the sun too long, or you'll come back looking like me. So,
I put a lot of sunscreen on us if I have to. Okay. All right, guys.
Yeah, he's starting to look like one of my cousins already.
My cousin Benny.
Please say some of us Italians.
How you doing?
Yeah, we'll talk offline and schedule our next couple ones. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And on that note, see you guys.
Love you guys.
Next one.
Love you all.
Love you guys right back. Use that fancy music.